Hi, I am Kumar. In this unit, I will discuss about introduction to APM and its features. Well, I will start with a basic question. What is APM? I hope most of you might have heard about it on the internet. Right. APM is an open source test automation tool that can be used to automate mobile applications using WebDriver protocol. I hope this might not sound pure technical, but in very simple terms, we can say APM is just like Selenium WebDriver. The way how we implement the WebDriver to automate browser applications, similarly, we can implement APM to automate mobile applications. Now, let's spend some time to understand about types of mobile applications and how they are. On the screen, you can see there are three types of mobile applications: native, hybrid, and web apps. And of course, APM supports all these three types of applications. Alright, what is native app? An app which live on the device container and are accessed through icons on the device home screen. Such kind of apps are called native apps. These apps are installed through an application store. Like if you take an Android, so you can install the apps from the Google Play, and if you take iOS, you can install the apps from Apple's App Store. So basically, these apps are developed specifically for one platform like iOS or Android, which means these apps will be developed in two different versions for different mobile operating systems. And these apps can take full advantage of all the device features, like they can use the camera, the GPS, and of course the list of the contacts. And these apps can also incorporate gestures, either the standard operating system gestures or it may be a new app defined gesture. And native apps can use the device notification system. So that means whatever the notification system is implemented in the specific SDK tools for the specific operating system of a specific device, so these apps can leverage that feature as well. And these apps can work offline. That means you don't need to have any internet connection to work with these apps. The best example for such kind of app is Angry Bird. So most of you might have heard about it, Angry Bird, and of course you might have already played it for a couple of times at least. So let me drive it through the Angry Bird app right now. So I just connected my iPad to the system and I'm trying to access my iPad here. So I would like to show you the Angry Bird app, so how it looks like. So this is the Angry Bird app. The one, if you see, I just pressed and hold. So this is a native app, so it doesn't need any internet connection and it is downloaded from the iOS App Store and it can leverage all the device features. And this is how this app looks like. So these native apps are pretty fast and they don't need any internet connection to work with. So this is just a simple example, guys. What is a web app? Any website, if you access through a mobile browser, such kind of apps are called mobile web apps. These apps are actually websites which run by a mobile browser and typically written in HTML file. And of course, we need to have internet connection to access these apps. One of the interesting thing is sometimes when we access a particular website, you might get some notifications like install an app on your smart banner. This means that company is having a hybrid or native app which can be downloaded into your phone instead of accessing through the mobile browser. Like if you start accessing the LinkedIn in the mobile browser, it may ask you to install the LinkedIn app instead. Web apps are like if you try to access any website on the mobile browser, that application is called web app. Alright, now let's look into what is hybrid app. An app which is part native apps and part web app are called hybrid apps. Means they have the properties of both a native app and the properties of a web app. So such kind of apps, generally we call them as hybrid apps. Like native apps, they live in an app store and can take advantage of the many device features like again camera, GPS, etc. Again, on the other side, like web apps, they rely on HTML being rendered in a browser, which is embedded within the app. So when I say the browser which is embedded within the app, that means it is not the actual mobile browser. So that browser is something rendered inside the hybrid app. And these apps we cannot work offline, means they need to have the internet connection. And the best example for such kind of apps is Facebook or LinkedIn. If we try to look at my iPad again, so this is a hybrid app. So I just downloaded this app from the Apple App Store, but still when I click on the sign in button, and in order to log into this app, in order to access this app, I need to have a proper internet connection. So this is one of the good example for the hybrid apps. And good thing about APM is it supports all the 3 different types of mobile applications. Like apps, there are different types of mobile operating systems like iOS, Android, BlackBerry, Windows, Firefox OS, etc. For now, APM is supporting iOS, Android, and Firefox OS. Well, here is my next question. Why APM? Why we need to choose APM? These are the few reasons out of many which makes us to choose APM for mobile test automation from open source tools perspective. APM supports executing your scripts and testing mobile applications on simulators for iOS and on emulators for Android, and of course on the real devices for both. And there are a couple of other questions which might roll in your mind, like, do we need the source code of the app under test in order to automate an mobile application? Do we need to have the source code of the app? The answer is no. Unlike the other few open source tools, we don't need to do any modifications to the app source code, and you will test a real app which is going to ship into production. So you don't need to modify anything with respect to the app. Will APM works for only one programming language? No. As APM server will read your script with the help of the WebDriver JSON wire protocol, hence it will support all the programming languages which Selenium WebDriver supports. That means you can write your APM scripts in Java, C#, Ruby, Perl, Python, etc. Like any one of the programming language you can use. Will APM supports distributed testing? Yes. So what actually this means is you can execute your scripts on multiple devices. However, there are few limitations involved here, like you can't run on multiple iOS devices at once. But if you wanted to implement this, you can rely on the Sauce Labs. So it is the best option as they are the one who is supporting APM community right now, and they will maintain multiple devices and simulators or emulators for the execution. So I prefer Sauce Labs is the best option if you wanted to do a parallel execution on the multiple devices at once. Then, will APM supports multiple app testing at once? This is not possible in the iOS but can work for Android with the help of another open source tool as a backend, that is called Selendroid. So again, Selendroid is also an open source test automation tool exclusively to automate the Android application. So it won't work for the iOS. Do we have a proper online support for this tool? Like if I try to implement this tool in my project, and if I got stuck up with some issue, and if I got stuck up with some questions or queries, so who can help me? Because this is an open source tool, so there should be a community to ask for, or there should be a group of people who should provide the solutions for your queries, right? So yes, APM has a very strong community, and as it is supported by Sauce Labs, it is pretty fast growing community along with Selenium WebDriver. If you look at the statistics, for now almost 5200 code commits are being done and 2200 issues got fixed. So that means this community is very active and you can find the solutions if you raise an issue. Now the question is, or how easy it is to interact with the APM. Yes, it is quite easy with the provided GUI. So there is a graphical user interface for the APM, and where the user can provide the settings or the desired capabilities for both iOS and Android automation. So if you look at the screen, so you have a stop button here, and you can start the server, you can stop the server, and we have the two options for iOS and Android. So you can use these two options to provide the desired capabilities for the respective automation. And we have something called a search kind of icon, so which is nothing but an inspector. So you can use this feature to inspect the UI elements on the native apps. And of course there is something called a stethoscope icon, so that is called APM Doctor. So this feature is very important. It will help you to understand whether the APM is properly set up or properly configured on the system, and if something goes wrong, it will help you, it will direct you how to fix those dependencies. The APM has two setup files, so it has a .dmg for Mac system and has .exe for the Windows system. Alright, so let's look at the very important flow to discuss how APM works. The APM scripts, which can be written in any programming language like Java, C#, Ruby, etc. So this script will be understood by the APM server with the help of WebDriver JSON-Wire protocol. Now, if you are trying to automate the iOS, then the APM server will convert these commands to the JavaScript commands. Therefore, these JavaScript commands will be executed by Apple instruments against the mobile application on either a real device or it may be a simulator. So if you look at the flowchart, it's pretty clear and pretty straightforward how the things are going from left to right and how the things are going from right to left. For Android, it's pretty simple, isn't it? But trust me, there are a lot of background calls will happen. In order to achieve this, all the other dependent frameworks or installations like iOS WebKit debug proxy or something like iDevice installer, etc. So you will learn more about these things during the APM setup on the Mac system. So if it is for Android, it is not as complicated as iOS, but comparatively it is a simple and straightforward solution. In this case, APM server will convert the commands written in your script to Java commands. Therefore, these Java commands will be executed by the Android SDK tools. So it may be on either real device or it may be an emulator. Now here comes to look at pros and cons of APM. I personally not much interested to look at the limitations of APM because keeping in mind as it is an open source tool when compared with other tools in the open source category. However, from the customer's point of view, it is really worth to discuss few limitations here. First, let's look at the pros. All the complexities are under the hood of APM server. So what does actually it mean? This means your job is just to write the script for app automation. The rest will be taken care by the APM server, like understanding the commands, converting them to respective commands to perform the user actions on the mobile apps. Either it may be by iOS or it may be by the Android SDK tools. But your job is just only to write the script and click on the run button. So the rest of the things will be taken care of by the APM server. And APM is a cross-platform, like you can execute the same script for iOS, Android. And there is no extra agents required for your app to make it automation friendly. Yes, you don't need to modify anything with respect to the app. You will be testing the app which is actually going to ship into the production. Let's look at the other side of the coin. We can't run on multiple iOS devices at once. And of course, it is limited to one iOS device for one Mac machine. And if you want to automate Android, whose API is less than 16, then you can't implement APM. Alright, so that's all for this unit. Happy scripting. Thank you.